Okay, I'm Maureen Kiley. I'm here with an amazing woman, Jari Bowers. She is all about wealth, okay, and having money for the rest of your life. That's the bottom line of what I've heard her say in speaking at an event we met at. And I'm Maureen Kiley. I am the founder of the local community directory for South Shore, Florida. And I also own a couple of companies, Yap Pay, which is we help small business, even large businesses, save significantly on credit card processing. And I also own, co-founded with my daughter Maggie, out of Nashville area, Breakaway Growth Operators, which we focus on small business and we focus on AI solutions for small business. And Jari, I have to tell you, there's like some secret about you, or I don't know what it is, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it in this interview. So I want to thank you both. And this is Mark. And Mark, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name. McGuire? Okay, cool. So nice having you here. And what I'd like to start with in this interview is to know the woman behind the business. And that's kind of what we do in these interviews, is to let the residents and the other businesses that we're all networking with, for 270 of us that are part of this group, I try to show people the real person behind the business, not the marketing side of it necessarily, but the real person behind it. So I'd like you to just tell everyone today who's watching this, who are you? Where did you come from? Any little interesting things you'd like people to know about as you as a person?
Well, first of all, I am a Gigi, which is the most important part of my life, which, it just simply means I have amazing grandchildren. And that part is the reason why I came to Florida. So I had spent a large part of my life in Arizona. I've owned multiple businesses my entire adult life. I have been extremely successful and I have failed miserably to success. I've been I've been in all kinds of scenarios with different conversations with people in that journey of owning businesses, and I found out that there are not very many people that know about money and the reasons we should leverage our money and what we should do with money. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to teach my grandkids that as well. So I've been through divorce, I've had all kinds of chaos take place in my life. And in those things, I want to be an educator of how to get from what you may think is the bottom or not even getting started with saving money all the way to a very successful future and a legacy that you can build. And in that, I want to make sure that children learn how to do it. I always teach about $1 million baby plans and what that looks like, because I think it's time for us to break the traditional mold of not talking about money at the family table. And in so for that, it's really important that we bring families together. So because of that reason, and because I want my children and my grandchildren to be extremely successful and not struggle the entire way like I have done multiple times, that's why I do what I do, and that is who really I am. I focus on the Father. I'm very faith driven. I love that about life, because I think that if you don't have a divine purpose or a focused purpose, you're probably missing out on a whole lot of the things that you should be doing or that you could experience. So I do put that forward as well a lot of times. And I like to talk individually to people about what that looks like for their future. If they ask, I don't tell you unless you want to know, right? I'm kind of that person that, like you said, there's a mystery. Well, that's because if you don't ask me, I'm probably not going to tell you. But if you do, you might get a whole lot more than what you thought.
That's great. So, hey, so what area do you live in South Shore area?
We live in Terracea, so yeah, that's South Shore, quite further from Tampa than probably than you are, obviously. But
Yeah.
we're
No,
about
well,
an
I'm
hour
over.
from here.
I'm over in a funny little place called Waimama, and it's called Valencia Lakes. And trust me, when I moved here, and it's funny that you say you're from Arizona, because I'll tell you a story later about prosperity for kids. So I will do that on a sidebar thing. But when we moved here 5 years ago, and I looked at my husband, we loved our house, we loved the community. We didn't really like what's outside the community because there's really nothing in Waimama. Um, but I said to him, I go, how we can explain where we live to our friends, this name of this town. And then I found out, we thought it was Indian, because there was a lot of Indian settlers, right, or beginning of Florida. And actually, Waimama, little tidbit, is the first two letters of the three daughters of the founder of the town. So there's a little history for you about Florida. So, okay, so where do you want to start in talking about what you do, how you do it, and how you engage with? I mean, I went to your network. We met at a networking event, and you brought up that you have wine, women, and wealth, and that intrigued me. So maybe we'll start there, and then we can go into a little more depth about how you work with people.
Okay. So, Wine, Women, and Wealth is a networking event that is all about taking the pressure off of the financial advisor that you might be thinking you're going to go see and hear all about, right? So, when Wine, Women, and Wealth was created, it was created for the networking to sip some wine, to learn some wealth tips, and really enjoy your time with other women who are not pushy salespeople, who are, there to get to know each other, learn more about each other, and help each other in business. So if you do own a business, then obviously it's a great place to be networking to grow and really receive good connection. I love that it's all about good connection, and it's also about helping specific groups like the military, which I absolutely love. So the venue that I have for Wine, Women, and Wealth is a military family, and it's just they are so amazing. It's a really good group of people. But what happens is then once you've learned a lot with what's going on with Wine, Women, and Wealth, it's a ton of wealth tips that are literally focused on what's going on now in this economy and how you build, starting with even if you have $100 or if you're a multimillionaire. I work with everybody just to close the gap on I can't get started, I don't have enough, or whatever that is. All the questions that people ask are definitely worthy of an answer, and there's no stupid questions in that group, right? And then what they learn is that then now they can take their significant other, their spouse with them to another event called Money 101, and you can get on the same page on what your financial legacy is going to look like instead of just not having the conversation. Or a lot of times I will hear with those women, well, my husband takes care of everything. And to me, that means red
Mm.
flag, right? Number one, because if something happened to him, would you know what to do and how to get through it? So that's where we bridge the gap for men and women together. And that brings the man into that conversation so that now everybody can be comfortable. It's such an amazing way to get to share information because everything I do, all of the events are free, and it's focused on making sure all your questions get answered and being able to have an adult conversation about money, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there any particular type of financial instruments that you work with? I mean, so people will ask, like, is it mutual funds? Is it securities? Is it, some kind of bond, insurance, annuities, all these different things, right? So, do you work in any particular area or are you diverse?
Well, I'm diverse. However, I specialize in certain things. And those things are tax free retirement, annuities, life
Hmm.
insurance with living benefits, making sure that people understand the differences of that, and then and building a foundation with those three components, and then advanced investments and fully understanding how to continue on building your future once you've got the money that you should never run out of. You don't want to run out of money at the end of your life, right? So we build foundations based off of those three components to make sure you're never going to run out of money. And then we show you the other side of investments that are going to get you maybe further along. We also talk a lot about tax strategies, which is where Mark comes in. And Mark McGuire is incredible when it comes to that, because he's studied tax strategy for a while now, and it's really important for us to know the difference between the investments that you know about right now, which is either the bank or all into 401ks, stocks, right? And then figuring out how you can protect some of that money and still leverage some of that money. It's really important that that's the focal point, but we have to start somewhere. And that's starting, remember, with whether you have $100 or multiple millions, you need your foundation built, right? So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Mark talks a lot about the tax strategy advantages, because it really matters once you hit retirement age, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that 150% in regards to taxes. The not all the taxes that seniors are hit with when they retire, the property taxes that they don't plan for that keep going up and up and up. And, a lot of the expenses, like we don't have control over energy. We don't have control over the grocery bills going up. And where maybe 5 years ago, someone thought they could retire on something, they may not be able to retire because the costs have gone up significantly. So it's interesting. Mark, do you want to expand on that a little bit for people that are watching this video to kind of talk about the tax side of it?
Well, yeah, a lot of your tax advantages come from having a small home-based business. I personally have real estate, and that's where I use a lot of my tax write-offs for, is the real estate end of things. There's different avenues that you can take to cost segregations on housing. There's just so many avenues that you can actually attack on and be able to lower your income tax. I have a son that's a dentist, and I'm working on getting him into a small base business so he can use some more of the tax codes, being an employer rather than just a W-2 employee.
Ah,
The tax laws are set up for businesses, and knowing we have an amazing CA, and she just blows your mind. We were just at a seminar here last week, and she had my head spinning the entire time talking about.
I got to meet her.
Everybody has to meet her. I'll tell you, she is something else.
Yeah.
So that's just a quick bit on what I like to talk about.
Okay.
And also expand a little bit on what it feels like to know you're never going to run out of money, Mark.
Oh yeah, I met Dree almost a year ago, and we started talking, and things just progressed. And I asked her what she did, and I was all interested in knowing how to retire, because the 401k that I worked with forever, the company I worked with for 30 years, we had a 401k and they contributed. And now that I see what typically everybody who has a 401k runs out of it in about 7 years. And the government has mandatory distribution age that you have to take it out. If you don't take it out, you get penalized. So 40% of your tax, or 40% of what you have in your 401k can disappear just to the government. So what we did was a rollover out of one of my IRAs into annuities, and it sits in there for 10 years at a percentage rate, and by the time I take it out, I should never run out of cash. That's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and those things, those vehicles. I mean, I know a little bit about taxes, and I know a little bit about finance. So I know that the 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 government wants their taxes. That's why they make you take them out of your IRAs and your 401ks and stuff. So, yeah. So, okay. So, Jari, tell us a little bit about how you work with people. Like, where do you meet with them? What do you like? Kind of how do you work with your clients?
A lot of times I work sitting across the table. So it's going to be, at a restaurant or at their home or whatever's really convenient for people. And I will do Zoom exactly like this right now as well. I want to make sure that people are fully educated. So I meet several times with you before you may be inclined to move forward with the investments that I'm educating you about and that I'm sharing information. Because honestly, not everybody fits in the same box. I like to say a lot of times I break the traditional mold of the financial advisor because I'm going to make sure you fully understand what you're investing in, why you're investing in it, and what it's going to look like in your future to the best of our knowledge, as according to, the standards and everything that we have to live by in the financial industry. But it's more of the personal one-on-one conversation that I love to have. So in those education classes that I do, I don't ask a lot of personal questions. We don't get into the weeds with that just simply because I don't want anybody to feel inferior or, like they have a stupid question, like I told you before. So we meet a
Yeah.
lot of times face to face across the table or like this.
So when do you do the one after I know the wine, women, and wealth is like a once a month thing, right? And
Yes.
then what about the 101 classes? How
The Money
often do you do those?
101 class is once a month as well. If you're in person, so close to the local area, South Tampa, and there's some other places that I'm looking at doing another event. So it can move into 2 or 3 times a month depending on the venue space. But I also do online Money 101 and Wine, Women, and Wealth. So if it's not convenient for you to meet in person, then I do those online as well. And those are once a month. So we've got, generally 4 events, maybe 6 events going on every single month. You've got an option to choose from.
That's great. Okay. So is there anything else that you would want to tell someone that's watching this video about what you do and how you work? Is there anything secretive? I think
Well,
they just have to meet with you, but
go ahead.
Well, I think the secret is getting people to think about their finances. They can put something away. You don't have to start with a lot. You can start with a little and just let it compound. That's the
yeah.
best advice. Getting started is the hardest point.
Yes,
All right.
definitely. And for me, on the side of saying, okay, it's time that we have a financial education conversation with people. We need to stop the madness of just going somewhere and going, huh, I hope I chose the right person with my entire wealth that I have saved for years and years. That needs to stop. People need to fully understand what is going on and why it's so important to create the legacy you want your way for your family. When you go into the traditional office, and it's not just I'm against financial advisors because I am one, so I'm not against them, right? It's just the way people go about it is wrong, in my opinion, because we need to fully understand. And if you're treated like a penny waiting for change, I don't know if that's like aging myself or whatever, but you shouldn't ever feel like you don't know what is going on with your money. And you should be able to build your legacy the way you want it, not the way the financial advisor tells you it should be, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
really, really important. And I believe that free education is priceless. It's time that everybody gets this right information and then do what you want with it. You should never feel pressured to make decisions with your hard earned money because you don't know what's going on. And I just got to trust the professional. That's not what we do. We're here to make sure you fully understand what you're doing and why you are doing it because you're going to stick to it. You're going to create the legacy that lasts for generations. And that's the focus.
And I think education is important because there's so many changes going on in the world
Yeah.
on so many different levels on financial. I mean, I'm in the crypto space and I understand, blockchain AI. That's kind of my world sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's scary because people don't know. Like, it's so speculative, right? So if people are, putting money in things that they don't necessarily understand. So it's important to educate and it can be overwhelming. I'll just give you a little example and we could probably cut this out if you don't want it. But I read in Scientific America like 9 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, there was a whole write up about the blockchain. And I'm a pretty smart lady. I mean, I've developed an AI app and I was like, okay, this is complicated. And if we get to this point with crypto and blockchain, and we get, people are living longer, how are they going to comprehend this for digital money? That's what I thought 8 years ago is how are people going to feel secure in their investments, and they have to educate themselves. So what you're doing for your space is really important because people need to be educated and know that they're going to live a long time, most likely.
Yeah.
And do they want to run out of money?
Well, no, and that's the whole point, So
I know.
when you work with me and we do those investments, you understand why you're doing it, And there's a big issue when it comes to annuities as well because people think automatic, turn around and run, they're terrible. Well, the variable ones are, okay? But I don't work in that space at all. I am not going to subject your money to loss because if
Yeah.
you want to know what you're going to receive for the rest of your life, regardless of how long you live, then you need to work with me in that space because I can help you fully understand what it is when you start receiving distribution, and it's going to be the same amount until. Now that's a big thing. It gives people peace of mind. It gives people understanding about what the heck is this and why is my financial advisor telling me to run? It's limited understanding on the financial advisor's part. And that's where I'm closing the gap.
And you know what else? You just brought up a very good point of the annuity and knowing how much money you're going to have in distribution and never run out because it's all in your calculations, I'm sure. And so most pension plans, which most people don't have pensions anymore, okay? But there are industries that still have pension plans and they're all backed by annuities. So if somebody is watching this and has a pension,
That's right. They just, it's
It's
just
just
that
called a different vehicle.
exactly because they don't want people to be scared and not do it, right? Or don't.
yeah, because like
You don't know.
you have to choose when you retire in that pension. So like my brother, he retired from Blue Cross Blue Shield. And he had to choose like, okay, am I going to leave survivorship benefits for my pension or just take a higher amount? My husband did too in his pension plan. He retired. And his pension plan, he had to choose. And that is how much money are you going to have for the rest of your life till you die?
Right.
And it's the same concept. Same concept.
It's
So
exactly the same concept. And it's exciting to know, like in Mark's scenario, it's exciting to know exactly what it's going to be.
you're creating your pension because you could dump your 401k, your IRA, whatever, you could lose it in a market
It's
crash.
the market, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's balance in everything, right? But I get it. So I'm excited. I can't wait to go to the wine, women, and wealth. I got to get that down right. I think it should be women first, not wine. But no, but I really, really appreciate you. And I think this is going to be great. You're going to have a lot of women come out of the South Shore
Yes.
group, and it's going to be an exciting time for your business.
Well, I'm
And
glad.
anyone that's watching this really needs to get with Jari. Her information is going to be in the description and all across our spotlight. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, both of you, to be on this video. And I'm excited for what's happening in South Shore.
Yes, it is amazing. We get to be a blessing to people, and it's free. The Wine, Women, and Wealth, the Money 101, it's free. So why not come, enjoy yourself, enjoy getting to know other people, and experience excellent wine, by the way, at the venue, which Vino 21, amazing venue, and the couple, a military, they're an incredible couple to meet. So with that, you can't go wrong, and you're gonna
Yeah, and you'll meet a lot of nice people
and you meet a
on
lot
top
of
of
nice
it.
people. And I always
Yep,
give away free gifts, and it could be wine, it could be money, it could be books, it could be all kinds of things.
that'll be good. Okay.